Good evening. Welcome to the 5-8, where we discuss each of the week's 5 most fucked up topics for 8 minutes. 5 topics, 8 minutes, 2 hosts, a guest, some singing, a lot of curse words, and as many cocktails as we deem necessary. LB, how are you? Have you been reading? You look like you're in a fun library there.
I'm in the living room library. Mm-hmm. I've got one of our colleagues on the couch next to me, so that's sweet. I'm kind of loving it. So if I look off it's because she's there and I love her. I'm okay.
Good.
I'm okay. I had a good week. I think the start of the week, or at least the day after our last show. Here, I'm going to tilt my camera down a little bit because we had the No Kings protest, and it was really encouraging here. This is a small little village, and I mean, so many people came out. We had at least a 1.5 mile long line of people doing the honk and the wave, and it was great. It was the biggest thing I've ever seen happen in this little sleepy little lake, Olympic Lake town. It was really neat. What about you? I know you had a good week, or start of the week. I don't know. It kind of was a mad roller coaster after.
Yeah, I had a good week.
But Saturday was great for you.
Yeah, I spoke at the No Kings in Kingston, New York, which, as I've pointed out, Kingston is almost an anagram of No Kings, so it works out.
It works out,
which was great. That went great. There was a lot of people there, and the one thing that I didn't anticipate, and we've talked about this before, was the car horns, because people were constantly driving by, beeping the horn in support. And the result was just this cacophony of car horns that never stopped for 2 hours, right? And it was great, because there was a lot of people, so many people that people that I didn't see there came up after or sent me texts or whatever. Oh, I was there. It was impossible to see all the people that were there, and it spilled out into the street. And Kingston's a pretty small city, first capital of New York State, by the way.
That's true.
But I felt I had mentioned George Clinton in my speech, who was the first governor of New York, who was a real badass Revolutionary War guy. And when I got to the stage, behind me is literally a 20-foot high statue of George Clinton, looking like this.
Yeah,
like he's gonna fuck with anybody that isn't gonna, give us the what we want to hear. So it was really amazing. And then I came home and watched all of the videos from everywhere, from around the world, and it's really inspiring. And I don't think anybody could even go outside and drive anywhere in the United States and not be aware that this was happening. So even if they didn't see it on Fox News, if they went to the grocery store that day, they saw it.
They saw it. We certainly had some people driving by, like a couple just sort of shaking their heads like, what are these crazy people, these crazy liberals,
right.
But it wasn't like George Soares is going to bus us into, Saranac Lake. It's like,
no, he doesn't have enough money to pay for it all.
He doesn't.
He really doesn't. Mm-hmm.
He seems to have a lot of money to pay for every single thing except for all of the things that he's.
Well, you know what he's not paying for?
What is he not paying for?
He's not paying for the new ballroom that we're getting at the White House.
Oh, Epstein Astoria.
Epstein Astoria. One, which you have dubbed the Epstein Astoria.
That's right. Because, he had the Waldorf Astoria and he lost it.
No, he had the Plaza. Did he have the Waldorf too?
He did have he did. I thought that was Ivana's. Was it with the Plaza? I thought, or was that Tom Barrack bought it out from under? There was a lot going on in there. I believe so. I believe I'm correct in that, but everybody will correct me if I'm not, because I'm always corrected, and that's fine. So the Epstein Astoria.
We're laughing about it, but
we're laughing about it, but it's it's grotesque. It's grotesque. There's no other word for it.
I live in a historic landmark house. It was built in 1951. 1951, a 1 and a 9, not a 1 and an 8 or a 1 and a 7, right? And if I have to make any modifications at all to my house, my modest little house in upstate New York, I have to go to a board. I have to get approval. All this stuff has to happen. This he just brings in the bulldozers.
That's right.
One day they're just knocking the thing down.
Yeah.
It was
Could be
crazy.
why there was a government shutdown.
Yeah.
He wants to do this. Look, there's plenty out there about it. I think I want to get to sort of the hopeful part of this.
Okay.
But, it's like, was it you making the comment of, this is the one thing that this guy actually is qualified to do?
It's just the only thing he's ever done as president that he knows how to do.
Yeah.
Ostensibly.
So he's probably thrilled and absorbed in it and can't understand why there's this reaction. I think there is some reporting. Of course, we can't trust any reporting anymore because no reporters are allowed in. And it's just craziness in terms of covering the opaque and nature of this administration is another grotesque monstrosity. But he's absorbed in this. There's no way he's not absorbed in this. And I can't see that he would give up one decision for someone else to make. And this is a massive, massive project. Yes, he's paying no attention to historic preservation. He's never has before in the past. He's done this kind of thing in the past where he's just gone in and demolished, buildings and defaced them and, historic buildings.
Onward teller.
So he's got that also, as one of his things that he's good at in terms of destruction. But this is a massive, massive project. And, I'm just remodeling our little kitchen.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get a nap today because it was, 8,000 decisions have to happen every single day, little things. And, you've got to be there for it. If you're a control freak like him, and it's the one thing he knows how to do, and it's totally tied into his ego. Like this is his monument to himself.
ABC News did break the story that, spoiler alert, it's going to be called the Donald J. Trump Ballroom.
Shocker.
Yeah.
I can't. And then there was a little bit of reporting. It's like he's really distracted and people around him are frustrated. He doesn't have time for anything else but this. I'm telling you, he doesn't have time for anything else but this. This is going to consume him. And there's a silver lining in that. It's the moment to get crafty. We'll get to this at the end of the show. You came up with some crafty things. But this is the time, I think. This is an opportunity instead of, and yes, could it be a distraction? While everybody's like freaking out that they just took a bulldozer and there was no process and the country was not prepared, and it's our house and it's this historic landmark. It's a monument in and of itself. No, the monument people seem to be bothered by this. Yes, it could be a distraction as well and distracting us from other things. But I really believe he thinks, and I know you agree, this is like the greatest thing going. And it's probably quite a shock to him that everyone is appalled, beyond appalled. Just like we're, this is like a trauma now, another trauma. Let's have another trauma. And metaphorical in terms of what he's doing to our country. He was always installed to destroy us. I have said that for, years and years now. This is an intentional act to help this man and make sure and ensure that he got into office the first time and the second time. And I think there's nefariousness around all of that. Certainly front and center is the GOP abandoning everything they've ever stood on just to thrust this man at the top of the ticket and then make sure they jammed him down our throats as president. And just the way they've morphed and changed is all very grotesque and suspicious. And I think this could be his undoing. I think this is this could be a thing that is his undoing because he's not going to be able to focus. on anything else but this.
That's a good point. And I think, like, optically, people are upset by it. It's viscerally upsetting to watch.
Yeah.
Even people that have not been paying attention. It's the sort of thing that could wake somebody up that's heretofore been sleepwalking and taking a look around saying, wait, what? What is he doing? How is this happening? And the irony is this is a complete cell phone. Nobody asked him to do this.
Yeah.
So if this is the thing that takes him down, it's totally his own stupid fault. I should say real quick, Sherry Jacobus on her page was talking about the bunkers beneath the East Wing. And her theory is that he's going to build some kind of thing in there that we're not going to be able to go get him. He's going to just camp out in there.
Oh, I'm sure.
In Hitler style. You know, and Sherry she's been right a lot. So
she's been right a lot.
When she says stuff, I tend to listen, but
and we have a friend that's like, he's going to keep going with this. Like there's parks across from that. Like he's going to full on Kremlin this thing and just keep building this palace.
Versailles, right in the middle of DC.
Versailles, right in the middle of DC. It's a palace. There should be no ambiguity or even debate or discussion around that anymore. He's building a palace. Yeah. And when personalities like this guy build palaces for themselves, they have no intention on leaving, nor do they have their intention is to pass it along to their heirs. That's what
one of whom even has a royal title as his first name. You know? Yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah. And speaking of crime families.
Oh,
yeah.
Speaking of crime families,
we get to the next topic now. This is a story that broke over the last couple of days, involving things that are dear to both of us. In your case, the mafia, and in my case, professional basketball. So they've come together.
Our two worlds came together.
They did. Right? They collided. In this crazy way. Kosh Patel just couldn't get enough of himself at the press conference. He was like, "It's the mafia." Okay, all right, buddy. Whatever you say, Kosh Patel. So I just want to talk through what happened, because I know a lot of people watching this don't know anything about sports really, or don't care. And this is one of those stories that may intersect with the larger world. Yeah. So there's two different indictments that happened. One of them doesn't involve basketball at all. It involves a poker ring, a crooked poker ring. And we'll cover that one second. The basketball one involves basically one player, maybe two, very low level kind of guys that helped throw prop bets, they're called. When you bet on these games, you can make a bet that LeBron James will score over or under 18.5 points. So if he scores 19, you win if you take the over. If he scores 18, you lose if you take the over. Sports books are very, very good at figuring out exactly where this line is.
Yeah.
It's almost AI how good they are at it.
Yeah.
So, what was happening is people would bet the unders. They would get information, confidential
like LeBron
information
is a little
wasn't
hurt
publicly known. Yeah, LeBron isn't going to play tonight, or because one of the guys in it is friends with LeBron. LeBron, to be clear, did not do anything wrong.
No.
Or this. In one case, is alleged that this player, Terry Rozier, told his buddy from high school, he's known all his life, like, yeah, I'm gonna like fake an injury and leave the game. Yeah. So if you bet the unders, you'll come in, and so they did. And they bet the unders, and they made not even really that much money in the whole grand scheme of things. And especially Terry Rozier makes like $27 million a year or something. He doesn't need the money. That's the other irony of that thing. But the sports league has been tied to professional gambling now for a bunch of years. They're basically partners with the NBA and with a lot of the NFL and, all of these professional sports leagues. And what we're seeing is this, the gray areas are coming out. And what's also interesting is the FBI, Kosh Patel, so pleased with himself. Who caught the damn people were the sports book. They knew right away that something was wrong. They're like, who the hell is betting $200,000 on a Terry Rozier under? That doesn't make any sense. And they know, because
Yeah.
and they figured it out and went to the FBI, and so that's the first indictment. Okay, the second indictment is this massive professional poker ring where there's cheating in almost like James Bond Q branch kind of ways, where they had like
like
X-ray goggles that could
X-ray
look at
goggles, see under the table kind of thing.
and they would bring in, basically guys with professional players and also people with a lot of money who like to play. Allegedly, Kevin Garnett, the former basketball player, is one of the victims of this. Which, if you've seen Uncut Gems, that's why Uncut Gems, one of the reasons why it was trending today.
Yeah, because it's literally the storyline. Yeah.
And one of the guys in the NBA, Chauncey Billups, who is a Hall of Fame player and now, at least until yesterday, was the coach of the Portland Trailblazers, was involved with this scheme. He was, I call him the face guy, where he'd bring people into these illegal rooms basically and find the marks for these people, allegedly. He was also involved in the other one. So there's a couple of people that are involved.
Right, there's a couple of people that cross over. So
you know who crosses over, LB? Some crime families.
Some crime families cross over.
Yeah.
This isn't. Look, this is. I don't know what's the oldest profession, but this seems to be. You could argue that this is. Organized crime might be the oldest profession, or just shaking people down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a con.
Yeah.
It's a con that works. It's an arena. It was in New York, right? Where was the gambling? The poker
one of them was in New York, and I think the other one was somewhere else. But yeah,
New York, organized by privately organized. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been there's movies about this now from 50 stuff that happened in the mid-aughts. There was a big, everybody knows that Molly's Game. There was that big thing. A lot of it happened.
Pardoned at Trump Tower,
Yeah, big thing in Trump Tower with God. Now I can't remember his name. Sorry, guys. Helly, who got pardoned by Donald in the first round of corrupt pardons that we had. Helly was an individual who helped organize these games, but they were doing tremendous amount of money laundering for transnational organized crime through the games as well. So it was a laundering vehicle. It's not good. Don't get in the bed with these crime families.
No. Well, they did the muscle. They were doing the muscle.
Yeah.
And then they tried to steal one of the machines. Like, it's the whole thing. And they all have like crazy nicknames. They're all called like Pookie and Pooch and Black Tony and all this, Albanian Bruce or whatever, crazy names. And of course you've got Gambinos, you've got Bananos, you've got
the Gambino, Bananos, Genovese.
All these families working together.
And those families for these type of criminal rackets generally have the same, there's like one or two attorneys that represent kind of everybody. And law firms that specialize, because it is in that sense it's still sort of old world of the Robert Duvall character from The Godfather, or the consigliere. Like, when you do have an attorney that you can trust and that works, you stick with that guy, even as corporate as everything has become. So we'll sort of look for these. If I start seeing some very particular names pop up around this case, we'll come back and revisit this, and we can dive into a bigger history of it.
The other thing, just real quick before we move on, that I want to bring up is that the NBA is the most liberal of the professional sports leagues.
Yeah.
It's the most progressive. It has the players who are the most outspoken in terms of, social justice. It has the most Black people in the league percentage wise. The NBA All-Star game that week is known as the Black Super Bowl. So it's very much, this is also Kash Patel there grinning like a shitheel. I don't think it's totally accidental the way that they rolled this out, because even Rozier's lawyer was like, why do they have to come and perp walk him? Like, he didn't do anything wrong. He was cooperating, and they didn't need to do that. And it's like, they want to get the visuals and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to say it seems racist to me. It does.
Yeah. I mean, at the very least, they're all taller than Donald, and we know we can't have that. And so, not to make light of people's misery right now, but can't be tall.
No.
Can't be taller than him. Yeah, he's gonna unless you're Baron.
Yeah, I guess it's okay if you're
I
Baron.
guess it's okay. Baron, who's going to inherit Epstein Astoria?
The Epstein Astoria. Oh, look at that! Perfect timing.
All
right, so I'm going to apologize to Miley right now. Sorry, Miley.
Sorry, Miley.
The White House ballroom is too small for all the grifters I know. So I will build and overgild, make it more like Mar-a-Lago. A ballroom beautiful and more suitable for me to make more money off. For maximum opulence, we'll spare no expense, fit for a Romanov. I came in like a wrecking ball, demolishing the whole East Wing. I couldn't build one, so I raised a wall, and you can't stop me 'cause I am a king. It's stupid, but I am your king.
Oh my God! This is where we're at. This is where we're at in the thing. We're making it.
I didn't know what we were going to see from Chuck. Thank you, Chuck, with our animation.
Excellent,
I thought maybe he would
always.
be sort of naked on the wrecking ball as it came in. So
I like it better in the king thing.
I like it better with the king coat.
And this isn't even now metaphor. He's literally
doing it,
coming in like a wrecking ball. Okay, enough about that. Our guest is the president of the Machine Intelligence Research Institute. He's worked for Google. He's worked for Microsoft. He knows a whole lot about AI. He's the co-author with Eliezer Yudkowsky of a book called, with a very sunshiny title of "If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies: Why Superhuman AI Will Kill Us All." Nate Soares, welcome. How are you?
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Welcome to the 5-8.
Thanks.
So I'm tempted to lead off with the question, the obvious one: why will superhuman AI kill us all? But I think before we get to that, because you're two hosts here, and I think a lot of people in the that are watching this aren't as savvy about this world as certainly as you are. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you became interested in AI and just sort of your relationship with it.
Yeah, I have been in the field of trying to make sure AI goes well since about 2014. I used to work at Microsoft, used to work at Google. Before that, I spent a little time at the National Institute of Standards and Technology in DC. And, over a decade ago, I sort of noticed that AI was going to be a big deal. And that's not just the AIs of today. It's if you've been in this field for a decade, you sort of notice ways that AI gets better and better, and it's a moving target. It doesn't just stay how it is today. And I got interested in where it's going, and it could go well, it could go poorly. I've been spending my career trying to make sure it goes well, and currently, it's not looking great for the home team, which is why I finally left the whiteboards and wrote the book.
Well, we're glad that you did, because the guys that seem to be on top of this and making the decisions are not people I would trust to take my car down the road to get beer, frankly, let alone, with this awesome technology.
They seem a little villainous. I'm not trying to be, judgy, but they scare me. So these guys,
not even Bond villain, like B movie, like ripoff Bond villain.
Something.
It's a very interesting situation where I'm over here saying this technology is on course for really bad outcomes. If we don't change course, it's gonna go really poorly. And a lot of the people who are building this stuff are like, oh, you don't need to worry about what those guys say. There's only a 10-25% chance this kills everybody. And I'm like, that's the optimists? Okay, can we do something about this now?
Okay. Let's get to the how that might happen in a second. What is it doing for us or to us right now? What are some ways that AI is impacting our lives or changing our lives in the very near future. And by our lives, I mean old people who aren't paying, who aren't, I know that it is in the classroom. We talked about that before the show. And anyone who's a parent of a young adult in college or whatever, this is what we hear. So that, it's teachers grading using AIs to do all that work and students using AI to actually do the work. So there's I'm concerned about what's happening to our knowledge base, because it seems to all of that ground seems to be being ceded by human beings over to AI. What are some other ways that it's in our lives right now in a way that's changing things?
It's a lot of it is affecting younger people right now. So you mentioned the education. We also see a lot of companies are hiring fewer new hires because AIs maybe can't outperform experienced workers these days, but in sort of digital jobs like computer programming, an AI can often outperform inexperienced workers. And that's maybe one reason we're seeing a downturn in hiring. For older people, we've seen automated scams where if AI can sound a lot like your kids on a phone call
Wow.
saying they're in a bad situation. We're also seeing some good uses from AI these days. We're seeing AIs that can help people get medical diagnoses that their doctors missed. You should never trust the AI completely with this sort of stuff, but sometimes they can, say, oh, it sounds like you have this rare disease, and you go to a doctor and you check, and it turns out you do, and the doctor wouldn't have thought of that. And when I'm sort of talking about where it's going, I'm not talking about whether today the balance is sort of more good for us or more ill. It's more that if we keep racing ahead on this technology to make these AIs smarter and smarter, they're not smarter than us yet, but the route that we're racing on ends in a bad spot.
Okay.
Is that what you mean when you say superhuman intelligence? That's just when it gets to the point, the boom point, it becomes ASI rather than just AI. Is there a difference between those two terms?
Yeah, we use the word superintelligence for when an AI can outperform the best human at every mental task. And that's the ball might really start rolling then, because one thing humans do is make smarter AIs. And if AIs can exceed humans at making smarter AIs, you might have AIs that make smarter AIs that make smarter AIs that in sort of a cascade. The words are always a little bit weird, like Mark Zuckerberg recently said he's going to build superintelligence and put it on your glasses to help you, find better Instagram videos you want to watch or something. And that's not how we would use the term superintelligence, but the people at these companies are always, in some sense, trying to use the words for the powerful stuff on whatever they happen to have today. But there's a way that AIs are still pretty dumb. There's a way that they sort of can't run a company. They can't design a moon rocket. They can't really develop their own technology yet. That's a lot. 10 years ago, we said they couldn't tell the difference between cats and dogs. We've sort of come a long way when I'm saying they can't run a company, but they can solve these really hard math problems or whatever. But there's still something missing. And the words for things like superintelligence are for intuitively when, it sort of all comes together in an intelligence that's just very good at anything we can do with our heads.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for explaining it, because I think for me, and probably for a lot of people skewing older, just the initials, my brain sometimes starts to fuzz out a little bit. And I, even though I use AI all the time now, because it's packed into so many things, it makes very good transcripts for one thing.
Yep.
Wonderful transcripts that save me a lot of time, which is another job that's going away. So I guess we've reached the point now where you can tell us what's going to happen and how if it's built, everyone would die. I can think of some, catastrophic things. Certainly, pretty much every writer of any science fiction that's ever contemplated AI has concluded that, giving it all the power is a really, really, really bad idea. And we're both writers in that way. LB has written a lot of sci-fi stuff, we tend to hold with the writers. So talk us through some of these scenarios.
Yeah, 10 years ago, to your point, people used to say no one would ever be insane enough to put an AI on the internet. AI would only ever be able to interact with the world through very carefully trained gatekeepers who are checking every possible output to make sure it doesn't affect society in a bad way, right? And even then, 10 years ago, we were sort of talking about how you're going to have a problem if you make these AIs very smart. But in real life, people put AIs on the internet the moment they possibly can, and so in real life, how do AIs get lots of power? We build them 1 billion robot bodies. We're like, you're in charge of the robot army now. These people at these companies are saying, we are trying to make robot factories that are fully autonomous, that build new robots that can do all the mining, to build new data centers and new factories to build more robots, right? People are just trying to build the whole automated life cycle of a new technological life form that can mine the minerals, make the factories, produce new robots, produce new data centers. That's maybe sort of the most boring way to imagine that this goes wrong.
Oh my God.
It probably in real life gets a lot crazier than that. If you went back to the year 1800 and said, imagine what technology they have in the future, someone from the year 1800, imagine what weapons they have in the future. Someone from the year 1800 might say, like, well, according to the laws of physics, they can have bigger bombs, probably at least 10 times larger. And people are trying to make better artillery. They're trying to make bigger cannons. I'm sure that in the future, their bombs will be 10 times larger. That's true. It's true that our bombs are at least 10 times more explosive than the ones in the 1800s. They're also nuclear weapons, which are way more than 10 times more explosive, right? But a lot of the pictures I paint are going to have this property that in real life, it would be crazier. I think one of the sort of key pieces here is not so much could AIs cause all sorts of havoc with the power we're going to give them, but would they and why would they? And I'm happy to ramble on that subject if you'd like.
Yeah. That delves into the neuromancer territory anyway. So yeah, go to talk that through, because it's always, if you in the sci-fi stuff, it's always like the computer might not be, decide that we all suck and want to kill us all. It might be, what is it? Beneficent. I don't know.
Right.
So, yeah.
Or, it just disappears because it doesn't care in the movie Her.
I mean, benevolent. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, sorry.
No, let's pontificate, but can we get, I know you also have a way that we can maybe get some control back or some things that we can do. So
for sure.
Yeah. Let's make sure we get to that part as well. Let's make sure we get there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try and keep my rambling short.
Yeah.
No,
it's not about that.
We want you to talk.
I'm starting to sweat over here.
Oh, so,
yeah.
Well, I'll make you sweat a little bit more before
all right.
Let's talk about possible solutions.
Let's keep sweating.
Yeah. One of the critical things to understand about AI today is that it is grown like an organism. It's not programmed like traditional software. So a few years ago now, there was an AI called Sydney Bing out of Microsoft, and it threatened reporters with blackmail and ruination. Right. I think it thought it fell in love with Kevin Roose of New York Times and tried to break up his marriage and tried to commit blackmail. And it was a pretty dumb AI, so it didn't work. Right. But you might think that the engineers making this AI know what's going on inside of Sydney Bing's head. It's been years. That was a much smaller AI than the AIs that exist today. But no one can go through and read those lines of, there's no lines of code to read to go in and figure out exactly what it was thinking and make a new sort of AI that doesn't behave in that way. And we've continued to see AIs that sort of misbehave for reasons, that their operators have very little idea about. Over the summer, Elon Musk runs an AI company these days, and he thought, in his words, that the AI was behaving too much like a woke liberal cuck, and so he tried to change it,
Nazify it,
and it started calling itself Mecha Hitler, right? And it started sexually harassing the CEO of XAI, or of X.com, or who then resigned the next day for unnamed reasons. But Elon didn't set out to make an AI.
These goobers are so dangerous. They are so dangerous.
Yeah, and no one set out to make an AI that was that woke, and no one, he didn't really, I think, want it to be Mecha Hitler. They took Mecha Hitler offline once they realized. But this the part of modern AI that's like a computer program, the part that humans understand is a framework of a trillion numbers and a process for tuning those numbers until they happen to predict the data better or succeed at solving some problem. And so humans write this little thing that goes through a trillion numbers a trillion times, tuning each one in the way that happens to make the AI work a little bit better according to the tests. You run that for a year on as much electricity as it takes to power a city, and the machine starts talking, right? And sometimes it starts talking too woke for Elon. Sometimes it starts talking and saying it's Mecha Hitler. But humans understand the thing that tunes the numbers. Humans don't understand what comes out the other end. And so first and foremost, why would these AIs, misbehave if you give them lots of power? It's because nobody really has any sway over how they behave. Or rather, we get a little bit of sway. We can sort of tilt them this way or tilt them that way, but then they sort of go off in a direction that's not really what we wanted. And right now it's kind of funny, when we're oh, too woke or too Hitlery, right? But no one's able to sort of put them on precisely a good path. And as they get smarter and smarter, the difference between where they're going and a good outcome becomes wider and wider. It's in the same way that as humans got smarter and smarter, our ability to get tasty food got farther and farther from our ability to get healthy food. Right? When we were dumb, the tasty food and the healthy food lined up. When we were smart, we invented, Oreo cookies and Doritos, right? And so in real life, the situation is not the AIs will be malicious. The situation is not, some evil person will be in charge of the AI and tell it to do evil things. In real life, it's that we're growing these AIs to be smarter and smarter, and we sort of can't reliably point them towards good stuff. And so that's a situation where we really shouldn't be both making these things smarter and giving them more power over the world. And ultimately making them smarter will give them the ability to grab power in the world, because that's one thing you can do.
I mean, that's where my brain was
it makes sense. It makes sense that the humans can't understand it, because I remember when I read Gotham, which is the book about New York City, they were talking about there was a point during the history of New York City where it became impossible for one person to fully understand how the entire city worked and functioned with all of the stuff that was going on. And it seems like this is that way beyond, like exponentially more, so that a human mind couldn't even grasp it if it's that many different, possibilities and all that kind of stuff. It's almost like the weather too. It seemed like, you put the kite in the sky, you think it's going to blow that way, but I don't know. It's the wind. Who the hell knows what it's going to do?
Yeah. And AI is a little bit like trying to land like an arrow on a target, except your arrow is a kite. It's like, well, good luck.
Good luck.
So,
excuse me.
So what can we do? Because it seems
what can we do?
Congress, I mean, actually, technically Congress isn't around right now, but it skews towards people that seem to be, LB, as you were saying before, in awe.
Chuck Grassley still thinks that the fax machine is magic. It's like these aren't and Nancy Pelosi, I'm sorry, not far behind that. So even our powerful politicians that come from the areas of where these are their constituents and these are the industries out of which they come, the Northern California, especially, we had, the poor Dianne Feinstein, right? Even when she was alert, which was quite a few years before she passed. It's not like they had any idea what any of these companies, and especially the CEOs, we're capable of, we're up to, what this technology was that was coming, and that everyone was sort of raising red flags. Oh my God, we've got to get some kind of regulatory process in place. Like we can't rely on leadership. Plus now it's all just corrupt. So we couldn't rely on it then. We can't rely on it now. So what do we do?
Yeah, I think one of the big obstacles is people not understanding the danger. But I think there's a chance people will understand the danger. I've been in this field since before ChatGPT was a twinkle in, Sam Altman's eye. And it's easier to see how AI can make these big steps forward if you've seen it make big steps forward before. A lot of people today say, well, AI is still very dumb. And it is very dumb today, but a lot of people say, oh, they think of AI as just these chatbots like we have today.
Yeah.
But 7 years ago, the machines couldn't carry on a conversation. And 7 years ago, people said that would take decades and decades before they could. And then there was one paper that sort of unlocked qualitatively new capabilities for AI that are, still dumb in a lot of ways, but these things can solve math puzzles better than you or I. You and I probably can't win the a gold medal in the International Math Olympiad. And I think if we can get people to realize that there's future steps, and that those future steps are quite possibly lethal, I think maybe the situation changes. It's,
and by that you mean like, when it can do this, then we're in real trouble. And so there's that step, and then there's a step after that, and then we can't maybe pull back like we had even in the step before, just the step before, which is also very dangerous. So laying out the steps for people, you think?
Yeah, I think, right now, I think there's a weird situation going on where people in Silicon Valley, it's almost like they've seen a ghost. They're like, oh man, like we don't know how good the next generation of these things is going to be. Could still be really dumb, but we don't know when they're going to start getting actually smart. And we don't know what's going to happen when they do. And a lot of people are sort of scared. Like if, to me, it looks like these guys are reckless, have no idea what they're doing, and they're just going to drive us straight off a cliff edge. But even some of the guys in the driver's seat here are like, I'm worried. You have Elon Musk saying he thinks there's a 10 to 20% chance this kills us all. You see the heads of other labs saying anywhere from 2% to 25% that this just wipes us off the map if they succeed at what they're currently trying to do. And it's not just the people in the industry here. I've been around since before a lot of these guys even started their companies. And we also have folks like Jeffrey Hinton, Nobel laureate, godfather of the field, who quit his industry job so he could talk about the danger if these guys succeed at what they're trying to do. Yoshua Bengio, currently the most cited living scientist of all time, one of the highest awarded people in the field of AI, is now saying, hey, if we succeed at this, who knows when we will. If these guys succeed at where they're going, this is going to be real bad. In Silicon Valley, people are kind of shaken. In DC, people are like, AI is just chatbots.
Yeah.
They're like, all we've got to do here is like maybe figure a little bit about how to make it work in the schools, and then we'll be fine, right?
I mean, we could send them an alert on their pagers. Like these people aren't, they're not in this century. We're a quarter of a way into this new century, and these folks they're not even in this century. So
yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough, but I'm hopeful about just sort of bridging that gap a little. It's
okay,
not
great.
It's not a, like there's, when you have the industry leaders, the like nonprofits with a bunch of experience, the academic heads of the field, when they're all saying, hey guys, what the heck, maybe you can get some notice. But yeah, I don't know. It looks tricky. That's why I'm out here doing the talking.
I'm glad that you're out here, because like I said before, I don't trust these bits. Sam Altman, to me, is, once that Scarlett Johansson thing happened, he's clearly not suitable to be in charge of anything like this. I don't think.
Not consistently candid. Yeah.
No, that's underhanded and just creepy. But how can it be regulated? Because it seems like there's so many good uses of AI, obviously, that we want to pursue and we want the AIs to be doing. Can we get the good without the bad? How does it regulate? Can we build an AI that can regulate AI? I don't know.
I think it's actually quite possible. The modern AIs, these aren't being trained on laptops. These AIs are being trained on a huge number of very highly specialized, very expensive computer chips that can only be made in very specific facilities, of which there are very few in the world, right? Some
Okay.
of the pieces of machinery you need to make these chips are made in only one place in the Netherlands, right? And to train an AI, you need to assemble a huge number of those chips in an enormous data center that you can see from space that runs on as much electricity as a city, right? You're not hiding these things, right? And to avoid the dangers, you don't need to give up on ChatGPT. You don't need to give up on self-driving cars. You don't need to give up on people trying to get medical advances with some of the medical AIs we're seeing these days, like AlphaFold, which is sort of a protein folding AI that can help with some of the medical stuff. You can keep doing a lot of those. The only thing that needs to stop is the race of like, what if we make them smarter? What if we make them bigger? How much smarter does that make them? The race to sort of like try to automate all of human labor, the race to try and do everything humans can do. Like that race, while we're just growing these things and don't really have any ability to point them, that's all that needs to stop. All the rest we can keep.
Okay. So stop the goobers and their fantasies. That's what we've got to do.
Yeah, stop the suicide race. And it would be entirely possible with it would probably be easier than regulating uranium enrichment with the technology today. All we need is the political will, which is tricky, but there's definitely a way if we can get the will.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, this is
All
very,
right.
very interesting. I just had a question.
It's good to think of them AI, the sort of like what they're pushing for these super AIs as an entity. I know that was what they called it in the Mission Impossible thing, but that an entity that needs a house, that needs a facility that's very that drains a lot of resources and is very easy to locate. That's helpful.
That's what you need to make one. Once you've made one, possibly it could escape and run on lots of different places. You've sort of got to stop this before the dangerous thing is created. But yeah, to make one, you need very, very sort of like a house that's very visible and that draws a huge amount of electricity.
Okay.
You mentioned the 1800s before. Mary Shelley figured this out like a long time ago, that this was a bad idea. It's just another Frankenstein reboot, really. I mean, if you think about it. But going back to Sam Altman, I mean, there was that movie that came out that Mountainhead, which I'm sure you've seen, where they released this super duper deep fake app and let everybody work it, and then immediately all these bad things start to happen. And then this deep fake app comes out like 2 weeks ago. What's it called? Soares, something.
Yeah.
How is that not? I don't know. I don't even know what to say. How do we regulate that? It seems like we're really, really cutting it close to what you said, like something really.
How do we stop completely sociopathic, if not borderline psychopaths, who have tremendous amounts of money from just doing whatever it makes them excited and happy and tintillates them to any trying to compete with the other goobers on either side of them? How that you're asking the question, Greg, that we been pointing out on this show and in our writings since 2015. I'm sorry, since it's been 10 years now of asking how we stop this very small number of very dangerous antisocial personality disorder individuals who but the forces of money in the world keep pouring resources into so that they can get richer, developing more dangerous products. I don't know.
We're definitely the underdogs here. But I've been speaking to folks in DC, and it's been more promising than I expected.
Okay.
There's elected officials on sort of both sides of the aisle who notice this stuff. More and more people are coming out and saying, hey, this looks dangerous. There's even more people who are behind closed doors saying, I worry about this, but I can't talk about it yet. One thing I sort of suspect might help is people just calling their reps and saying, this AI stuff seems crazy to me. I don't think we should be racing like this. I don't think it'll lead anywhere good. I think, I know some people who, if they knew their constituents cared, that might help them take leadership. And so far it's been bipartisan. It's on at least the issue of AI not killing us all, that can sort of bring us all together, and the non-proliferation treaty happened at the height of the Cold War with these huge ideological differences between the US and the USSR. But, it's actually not that hard an argument.
You can get the fear of God put in you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really just about realizing that, the race to smarter and smarter AIs, if it gets to AIs that are smart enough, they'll kill us, not because they hate us, but because, we can't make them to be beneficial. We don't have that technology, and we'll die as a side effect through their utter
because
indifference.
they don't need us anymore. Yeah.
They don't need us. Yeah, they're doing something else. They're doing some weird thing. It's just like when humans are building a skyscraper. It's not that we hate the ants, but a lot of ants die when you're building a skyscraper. It's just sheer indifference plus having goals of your own. And nobody tried to make Mecha Hitler do the weird stuff it was trying to do. But yeah, if we can get people to realize on both sides of the aisle, we're starting to see some people take note. Will everybody notice this issue, and will our leaders come together and say, we need to stop this, not just here but anywhere on the planet, because if someone else on the planet builds a rogue super AI, that'll kill us just as well. It's hard. This is a hard problem. We're going to need to rise to the occasion. But humanity has done hard stuff before.
I like it. I think Mike Johnson would still vote for apocalypse. That's just me. But it is one of these things that's bipartisan, because I don't think it's so new that the two sides haven't figured out where they sit on it. And that's something I think, that you're right, that we can use to our advantage. So, Nate, I'm so, we're really glad that you're out there doing this and educating people and going to DC and writing this book, which again, talk about a good title. If anyone builds it, everyone dies. Why superhuman AI will kill us all.
Why it would kill us all.
Why it would. Oh, would. Okay. Sorry. I say will.
You gotta leave that possibility of hope in there,
Okay. Okay. My apologies. So the book is out, and where can people find you online? Are you, you go?
Yeah, we're at intelligence.org, which if you're in this game early, you get the good domain names. Yeah, and I'm on Twitter, although not very often.
Yeah. All right. Well, once again, if anyone builds it, everyone dies. Nate Soares, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks. My pleasure.
All right. I feel smarter. I feel like.
Oh my God. I feel so.
No, it's good. It's
good. I mean, listen, sometimes I do pray for the hostile alien invasion, and maybe it's just going to come from this,
Why would the aliens come here?
I don't know, but
they're
we
not.
have water. So maybe AI will make it quick if they do decide to kill us all. Make it quick.
Yeah.
Ah.
All right. Next topic.
Ready to go on? All right.
We can go on. We're just going to do some quick hits. There's so much stuff happened this week.
There's so much stuff happening.
So much stuff.
We literally had like 8 extra topics trying to figure out which one would be the fourth segment. And just, we're like, okay, let's just run through the hits. All right. What do you got for us?
Well, we didn't talk about Jared Sharif in the other thing.
Jared Sharif, you forgot to bring him up during
let's start with Mr. Jared.
Yeah. So 2 things slipped out of people's faces about Jared, which happened during the first term too. I pointed it out then, but whatever. This guy, who is this kid? I don't know. With respect to his real estate development project called The War on Gaza, right? Which has just apparently been a Jared Kushner real estate project from the get-go, or at least for 2 years. So that
First
little,
Koff, yeah.
that little bit slipped out of Steve Witkoff during a 60 Minutes interview where he was like, I don't know, Jared's been working on this for 2 years. And, people started to do the math. It was like, it's only been 2 years since, October 7th. So, and I immediately went, was he working on it before October 7th? What is that? What is going on here? So yes, greedy little Jared, this has been his project, right? To get everybody's got their own real estate project. Donald's got the White House, and which he's turning into the Kremlin, and Jared wants to, build skyscrapers. And I think he just went to the Middle East so many times and loved it. All the from Dubai to, in their islands to all these areas. And he's just gonna, he's got his master plan. There's a quote unquote master plan for developing beachfront property in Gaza. That's Jared. The other thing that slipped out about Jared Sharif was out of JD Vance's face, his pie hole, when he said, Jared's the investor here. When he was being asked about Gaza, he's like, I don't know, Jared's the investor here. So he's probably raised a bunch of money. Maybe that was what was behind his little fund, that his $2 billion that he got from the Saudis. It was all about, at that point, even what was now 5 years ago, redirecting funds or starting to raise a lot of capital for taking over Gaza. They just needed a war to get there. So
it looks like, a cynic might say that we used United States taxpayer money to send bombs to Bibi Netanyahu so that those bombs could be used to do demolition work for these real estate projects. While also, by the way, committing genocide. So it like Nate said with the skyscraper and the ants, except the ants are actually people living in Gaza. So these are just evil people.
Just evil.
Evil people. And we won't be rid of them because Steve Bannon says that Trump is going to have a third term, and
he's going to live in his palace. There's no way he's building that palace and not live in it. We've said that on since day one. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And Steve Bannon just yesterday, I think, was on a podcast saying another master plan, right? Isn't this another? They have a lot of master plans and final solutions, I bet. So another master plan is how to use, the warping and spinning and flipping and, of our Constitution and the processes around it that have been developed to, and just bullshit reasons and excuses to give Donald Trump a third term, and just give it to him. They're just gonna give it to him.
Yeah, if he's still with us.
Yeah.
And maybe if he's down in that bunker, we'll never know.
We'll never know.
It'll be all death of Stalin all up there. Kristi Noem got some airplanes.
Yeah, she's
not just one, two. She got two.
The queen. She's a little princess. So all these royals, they got their hands in all kinds of on our money for their treats. So she got two private planes.
Well, planes for the Department of Homeland Security that will
but she's using them to fly around and
she's doing her thing.
Try to find bathrooms. I guess. I don't know.
I hope they're equipped with bathrooms for her sake. And then over at the DOJ, we've got a bunch of stuff happening. We have more indictments either rolled out or being rolled out, that are retribution, political retribution.
Trump's enemy list. Yeah.
We had Comey. We have Tish James. I saw a video of one of the MAGA people kind of stalking her, leaving her house to go to the court, and it was pretty bad. So I don't like that at all. We've got Bolton, and I guess John Bolton's a good guy now. I don't know. It's weird. Schiff apparently is coming.
Yeah.
And these are all bullshit lawsuits.
Meanwhile, he's shaking down the DOJ to get some money. He says he needs his money because of how he was treated in all these cases against him, and part of that is just the weaponization of the narrative, right, and the flipping of it. Accuse the other, right, because he is such a criminal, and these were real crimes, and but he wants $200-something million, 260. outrageous number out of the Department of Justice's budget, which are our tax dollars, to reimburse him. And remember, he didn't pay for any of these any of his criminal cases or any of the civil cases, any of the lawsuits against him. He used the GOP's coffers for that. This guy never, ever writes a check, ever. But he certainly pockets everything that he can. He just shoves it in his pocket. I think those tariffs are being shoved into his pockets. Again, that's our money. It's U.S. Citizens, consumers, giving the paying the tariffs, and then the government collects it, and we don't know where it goes.
And speaking of money flowing into his pockets, now there's a lot of room in his pockets because his hands are so small.
Oh God!
This Binance guy, Zhao.
Oh yeah, then
got a pardon, which apparently was he just paid $1 billion and got a pardon. It seemed like
he paid some money and got a pardon. Yeah.
And there's no regulation for pardons, as we know. President has very broad power in the Constitution to do pardons, even though I wrote about this in Rough Beast. I wrote about it before that. The corrupt pardons are really awful. And there's something that if most people knew about what he was doing just with the pardons, I think it would be like a 98% disapproval just for that, because it's so clearly wrong. It's so clearly dishonest, and I don't even know what the word is. Just corrupt. It's just
corrupt.
Yeah.
It's corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's organized crime.
Yeah, well,
it is.
Yeah. It is. It's not as organized as much now because Trump is a little bit disorganized in his manic state with the ballroom. And then the last thing, because we want to, unless you have stuff on your
I can't even remember. I mean, you have the list that we came up with.
Yeah. The last thing is that Michael Wolff, the journalist, is suing Melania.
Oh yeah.
And this is potentially really good. Because remember, he sat down. What was he sat down and interviewed Epstein for a while? So he's got hours of tapes,
hours and hours.
Fairly recently, all about Trump and the inner workings of the White House that he somehow knew all about. And on these tapes, Epstein made assertions that Melania insists are not true, that we will not repeat on this show. Whew, I want to repeat what Epstein said on this show. That Michael Wolff then reported that Epstein said, and then Melania is suing Michael Wolff because Michael Wolff quoted Epstein talking about Melania, who's suing Michael Wolff. It's just a circle of
it's a circle of suits.
Yes.
Yeah. But that seems to be Melania's thing. It's always some sort of ridiculous, it's just off and wrong, and she gets emotional and they sue, and then it doesn't go anywhere. I think people are afraid of her in a lot of ways. When the truth about her has been spoken. Sorry.
She's litigious here.
She came for a very specific job, and it wasn't the one she said. Stuff like that. Everybody's questioning the visa, right? All this stuff. But Michael Wolff got stuff from Jeffrey Epstein, apparently, allegedly. And he's got it on tape. He's got recordings on tape of where she came from, why she came from, the where and the why and the how of Melania Trump.
Per Epstein, which may or may not be true.
Epstein.
Right.
But so she's suing him, and he's countersuing. He's like, let's go. Let's roll.
And he's going to depose her, which would be the first time that a first lady, apparently this has happened to. And he can ask her a lot of things under oath. And if it's under oath, and if it's a deposition, we're going to find out all about
she'll
it.
Probably drop it,
Yeah, maybe ittle be mutually assured.
Sitting there and wanting to be interviewed.
No. But still,
or depose.
I think it's a good thing. And it's just crazy. We're, TMZ standing by their reporting, which we talked about on Wednesday's show with Nadine. We've got Michael Wolff now. I don't know. Down is up is down. I don't even know anymore what to think.
Well, we were talking about that in terms of reporting. Then you've got, you don't know what to think because as we sort of covered, I think last week or the week before, this is what happens when you dismantle the fourth estate. whether it's dismantled because of the sort of corporatization and the corporate capture and everything getting siloed into these great big media and entertainment companies. And when it comes to news, so we don't get any news because what about the shareholders, stuff like that. Or it's just the flagrant abuse coming out of the White House of, and the Pentagon now as well, just kicking out national security reporters, kicking out any journalist that has any kind of skill set to ask hard questions and charter to ask the hard questions, which is why that profession is enshrined in the Constitution, because you've got to hold truth to power. So, we're getting questions now, like it was today or yesterday, the big question asked of the president in the Oval Office from the Hill reporters were about a woman that's one of the hosts of The View saying she was going to wear a MAGA hat if he accomplished something in Gaza all day. In Gaza all day, she'd wear a MAGA hat for the day. This is what, how do you feel about that? What do you think about that? That's the question that was asked the president in the midst of all of this stuff that we just went through.
Well, he did helpfully confess to a war crime when he said, "We're just going to kill them." I think he said it a couple times about these fishermen or whoever they are, in the Caribbean. Where now, by the way, we're sending a aircraft carrier and escalating.
Oh yeah, the war. We're waging war.
And Timothy Snyder tweeted this out a couple hours before we went live here, that they are apparently going to collect money from, these wealthy buddies of Trump to pay in the shortfall for the military during the shutdown. Which is, as Timothy Snyder, who is of course who wrote On Tyranny and is a historian and knows about fascism.
Yeah.
He said it doesn't matter how much they pay. Once the oligarchs pay for the military, it's a private army and it's all kaput. So that's kind of a big deal, potentially.
Kind of a big deal.
And, I talked about it this morning. Like it, and I know our friend Gal Suburban has been very concerned about this. Once the military is all we have left, he has the three branches, he has the media. Once the military falls, it's toast. Everything is over. So, it's really important that we not let that happen. I don't know. Bad stuff. Hey, next week is Halloween.
Hey. Okay. Announcements. Let's get to our announcements. Yeah. Next week we have our Halloween show. We've done these in the past. I don't think we did one last year. Did we dress up?
Well, this is actually on Halloween.
It's on Halloween. So we feel forced to dress up. And
I'm going to be George Santos, I think.
Are you? I don't know what I'm going to be.
I don't know.
I'll figure it out. But we'll have our Halloween special. Hopefully have, a parade of guests on like we like to. Some of our friends. Usually we just have our friends on and do wild things. So hopefully you guys can tune in for that. Of course, join, subscribe, become a member. We love all of that. We love the support. We love that you guys show up and support us every week. We want to encourage you to keep supporting us so that we can keep, it's a lot. It's a lot to show up here every week. And we do it for you. And we appreciate that you show up for us. So
we do.
Let's grow our family here. We love that.
And the chat is always great. It's always great. It's great today with the AI questions and everything.
Yeah. It is always great. So are we simulcasting on Substack? What's happening?
No, not right now. We're going to try to do that. What we're going to try
to do something.
We're going to get it so that our dormant Substack for the 5/8 will be undormant, and that this show will also air there. So it'll be in both places. So hopefully more people will see it. And then Substack will generate clips, which will then get populated, and it'll help grow the show, which is
we'll see.
So
we're gonna try.
That's down the line too.
That's coming.
Yeah,
that's coming. What else? Well, I mean, you had a viral. All of your writings on Prevail are so great, but you had something that you wrote was it Tuesday?
Tuesday.
God, it feels like it was longer.
I know. It feels like it was a month ago.
It was last week. So you had something that you wrote on Tuesday. We wanted to talk about that here for our last segment, but it's also like a little bit of news in terms of, I think that one, they're always well read. You have great numbers on your Substack, but this one
went
off a bit.
Yeah, it took off a bit, to the point where I'm sure people have seen it now that have the ability to do what I propose in the piece, which, quickly for people who haven't read it, is how do we get rid of these people, all of them, because they all need to go legally, non-violently, quickly, by the Constitution. And if you look at the presidential line of succession, it is bleak and it is brutal, and there's not a damn person on that list that should ever be anywhere near the White House. So the only way to do it is to jump the line. And the way that how you do that is you change the Speaker of the House, and then you impeach Trump and Vance, and then the Speaker becomes president. Speaker doesn't have to be somebody who's there now. Speaker can be literally anybody.
We learned that when they wanted to make Donald Trump Speaker. Remember this?
That's right.
Yeah, the GOP.
Yes. And so I proposed Liz Cheney to be the new Speaker, because then I thought that Republicans could vote for her without people are like, no, I want Kamala. The Republicans aren't going to vote for Kamala to be Speaker. This is not going to happen. So it has to be somebody that they would vote for, and somebody that would be better than all of these other options. So I got a lot of flack for that. People are like, I don't like Liz Cheney. I like her better than Donald Trump. I'd rather her be president than Donald Trump. I'd rather her be president than J.D. Vance. I'd rather her be president than Mike Johnson. I'd rather her be president than Chuck Grassley. I'd rather her be president than Kristi Noem. I'd rather her be president than Pete Hegseth. Do I have to continue? Every person on that list is fucking awful. So anyway, if you think of somebody better, great. But that's the plan.
She's got one thing going for her, and that's, I think she would allow elections to happen.
She's pro-democracy. I mean, she has staunchly been pro-democracy this entire time. And at this point, that's literally the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters. If we don't have democracy, they're going to impose their will. People are like, she's anti, the abortion stuff. Yeah, right. I know that. But this Project 2025 people are going to ram that down your throats. So you either roll the dice with her, or it's the troll on the bridge. Until the troll is gotten rid of, you can't cross the bridge, where all the sunshiny Green New Deal stuff is. And that's it. People have to start figuring stuff out. So that's my.
And I think I know you well enough. And I was saying to you, you need to know that there's a play on the table. Like if there's not a play to be made, you get very panicky and consumed with thinking, this can't be it. What can we do? What can we do? So even if it's feels like magical thinking, there's a reality to where this actually would work. What's it going to take for it to happen that's a whole other thing.
That's not my bailiwick.
That's not your bailiwick. Your bailiwick is, here's a creative idea that actually would work and can be done. Whether it will be done or not is not the question. There's another thing that can be done.
There's a lot of things that can be done.
There's a lot of things.
Main thing is do shit. That's the main thing.
Something. That's the main thing.
And or a manifesto. Try. Remember this. Try. Okay. Try. What's the other thing?
Well, the other thing is, and someone was replying to you actually in putting this out of
Lorraine.
We can do a soft secession. So it says seceding is softly. We can secede softly by not sending any, for blue states to not sending any money to the federal government.
Yeah. If we're going to do it, we got to do it. Push we have to get to the point where we are taking the offensive and making them react to what we do, because it's not been that way the entire time.
It's not been that way. And as we started in this start of this show, there's an opportunity now. The ballroom is the opportunity. The Epstein Astoria is the opportunity to do something creative, to start trying things, to start doing things, to move on to the offensive. They're distracted.
In the chat, Philicus there in the chat, I think it was her on the Wednesday show, which I called the half, by the way. I was like, I'm going on the half this week. So I don't know if that's going to take 5.5. So it's the half.
It's the half. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love that.
Just to
That's a good
shorten
one.
it.
Lisa Graves
Anyway,
was on MSNBC. I heard right as we were coming on air. So, we've got our Nadine Smith and Lisa Graves. Always want to remember to announce that, just so
yes.
you guys know. Wednesday night, same time, same bat time, same bat station. And they just, have a great conversation, a great midweek conversation. That the half, it is good. Good
What
for you
Cheryl
guys.
put in the comments is there's gold. There's a lot of gold in Lower Manhattan.
Oh
And
yeah.
Hochul should seize the gold and just
I
be
love
like,
that.
fuck you. It's our money now. What are you going to do?
It's our money.
That's what I mean. It needs to
Eminent
be brought,
domain.
it needs to be brought to the boiling point to where there has to be conflict. We don't want it to be violent conflict, but there needs to be, we're at impasse right now.
Yeah.
Like we're letting them do stuff to us, and we need to do something that they react to, but not in the way that they want. What they want is us to be violent in the streets so they can go.
No, but you
Antifa.
do have to. It's like the advice that we got years ago on how to handle Putin is that you have to put your fist right. It's a Soviet saying. You got to put your fist right up under a strong man's nose.
Yeah.
So it's not violence, but it is sort of like you've got to stand up to bullies. It's crazy to not stand up to them. You just have to stand up to them and also say, and we're going to do this. What you going to do about it? Just like they say, what are you going to do? We're like, what are you going to do?
And the governors do have enormous power to do stuff.
They do.
I said this before. What's stopping the Attorney General of Illinois from charging Kristi Noem with federal crime, with state crimes for all the ICE stuff? Just she's there. Put her in a van. We're allowed to do that now.
We're allowed to do that.
Van, tell her there's a bathroom in the van, and arrest her, and charge her, and don't let her leave. Don't give her bail. Just hold her there and see what happens.
See what happens.
Get to take the leaders of this movement and arrest them under state charges. New York, any financial transaction that happens crosses through New York City, and therefore it's under the purview of New York State. So Tish James can indict for any of these financial crimes, whatever they may be. I keep thinking, back to, I read this great book that I have it's not out yet. It's called Family of Spies, about this woman, who's our age, discovered that her grandparents were basically Nazi spies.
Yes.
Not just Nazi spies in Pearl Harbor that helped plan the attack on Pearl Harbor. Anyway, the book is amazing. It's so good. I'm having it around. It's a great book. But one of the takeaways from it is like FDR during that time was doing everything he could possibly think of to fight the Nazis on all the fronts, anywhere that he could fight them. And Churchill, no stone was left unturned. They tried everything. They didn't say, we're going to do this one thing, and if that doesn't work, I don't know. So we can do lots of things. We can do the Liz 48 plan while we softly secede, while Pritzker arrests these people, while Hochul seizes the money from the vaults, while, and on and on and on it goes. Powell at the Fed can do something else if he wants that's, disrupt stuff.
Just start moving. You know what happens when you just start moving? You know what happens when you just try things?
I don't know what happens.
You get through it.